welcome to another call. So today I have with us Christina, and let me tell you a little bit about her before we get started. So Christina Fletcher is an energy alignment coach, author, speaker, and podcast host dedicated to making spirituality habitually easy. Of course, I love that. Now she helps disillusioned women reignite their inner fire by helping them create balance, alignment, and stability, no matter how busy their life is. Today, she's here with us to talk about the four energetic worlds of self. Christine, thank you for joining so much. Welcome to the call.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I just get tingles when we know what we're going to be talking about. It's just exciting. So,
It
yeah.
is. It really is. And I love what we do, what we come together, we talk. I love the fact that you're also a podcast host. You know how it flows and everything, but it's like that one-on-one conversation, right?
Yeah.
It's like the forget the script, forget the this. Let's just talk about what's important to us. And tell us a little bit about how you even got here. What is the story that led you to all of these beautiful things that you're doing?
Oh, it can be quite a long story, but really it was this inner calling. The condensed version, the really condensed version is, I always had this inner calling when I was little. When I was small, I was raised in a religious household. Semi-religious. My dad was an atheist. My mom was actually a Christian, but she was always church shopping. She never really knew what she belonged to. And so I was raised with this idea of searching within yourself. And yet every time I tried something, it wouldn't fit. So I was always looking outside to see where I belonged. And I spent the good part of my teens still trying to hunt that out. And then somewhere along the line, I landed on meditation. So I started meditating and I started finding this connection. And it was like a world within myself that made sense, a connection that made sense, but I couldn't find a representation of that outside of me. So I
Mhm.
went to university. I studied religions, trying to find it. I was banging around, banging my head against a brick wall, basically. And finally, I was lucky to have a university professor turn to me and say, Christina, you just got to give it up. He's like, you're a mystic. You have your own relationship with the divine. Stop searching.
Right.
And it was like, I turned to him and I was like, no, 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 but what do mystics say they are? And he's like, mystics don't care. I was like, darn it. It's like, that's so unfair. So it was like this light bulb moment that filled me with so much hope and joy and relief. And at the same time, a lot of disappointment because it was
Mhm.
like, oh, it's actually really just me and that inner world that I've been connecting with. I'm not crazy, but this is what
Mhm.
I've got.
Mhm.
So I spent some time connecting to my angels and really relishing that world that I was feeling into. And slowly I felt this inner calling again to connect to a soulmate, that there was someone out there that I knew I was supposed to be working with and loving already. I tried dating, I tried connecting with other people, but again, it was always like a glass wall that I just kept slamming up against and it wouldn't work. So luckily, I connected with my angels and they were kind of cheering me on and saying, yes, there is this person out there. And one day I randomly just kind of was like, oh, I'm actually going to England. I'm going to England on a trip. And everyone I knew looked at me like, what are you talking about?
Right.
Where did this come from? I was like, I think I'm going to go meet my soulmate, actually. And literally jumped on a plane within 3 weeks of traveling, walked into a room, instantly fell in love, locked eyes with the man beside me. And yeah, long story short, we've been married 23 years. So it was this magical experience of saying, oh, this is what alignment and flow can really do. This is what this listening to intuition can really do. And then we had two babies within like 12 months of each other, and life went, oh, so this is what human life can really do.
Mhm. Mhm. Talk about the connection you guys made. Hmm.
Yes, it was like, okay, we can do this. So we still worked it together and we were trying to look for magic, but the stress of all the shoulds and to-dos and the weights of money and life kind of crashed above our heads. So it was like this parallel reality. It was like perfect example of duality. And that one day I was like, you know what? I think it's just better to be happy than right. We'd been listening to Abraham Hicks. We'd still been learning and studying. I learned more about law of attraction and it just this unfolding. And as it unfolded, I became a happier mom, and my kids became happier, and my husband and I started delving more into manifestation and magic, and we became a lot happier. And it was like everything made sense again. And I reconnected to that inner world and that sense of soul connection. And within that, then we ended up having our son, and that was a very intuitive process. It was unassisted birth, and we kind of just followed through with it. And it was this practice of all of a sudden waking up going, this is how life can flow.
Yeah.
The chaos of human experience is so much more it's a state of allowing, it's a state of unfolding, it's a state of embellishing. It's a wider perspective when you connect with spirit first. So I started coaching as spiritually aware parenting. I was a parent coach for years. I wrote some books, and then about 4 years ago, I shifted to spiritually aware living because my kids were older, and I kind of was like, okay, there's only so much parenting I can talk about now. I want
I'm
to talk
done with
about
the
magic.
parenting. Right,
I love the
right,
parenting. It was
right,
great.
right. But I'm done with
But
it. Right.
I was basically telling parents, like parents would meet with me to talk about tantrums, and I was like, actually, we need to actually talk about your spiritual well-being and spiritual connection. And they'd be like,
Yeah.
okay. So it all linked, but I was like,
Hmm.
I better actually just tell people what I'm coaching here.
Hmm. Right, right.
Does it all. This is what actually works. So yeah, so that's basically where I am today. I look for any way that I can provide simple, digestible tools.
Hmm.
It doesn't have to be the long studies or the long meditations or the big retreats or the long healing, torturous paths. Instead, it's like you're a spiritual being, you're having this human experience. Let's bring those together and actually
Hmm.
infuse your life with the
Hmm.
fuel that you were created with and as. So there
Love
I
it.
am.
And I love that because I mean, I've gone through the 20, 30 something years. I don't even know how many decades ago it is that you start. And you learn and you get into this and you get into that. And then everything is a process. And then every teacher's like, this is what you have to do. And it's step one, it's this, it's step two. And yeah, you're right. You get to a point where you are now. It's like, how do I just make this easy?
Yep.
And we overcomplicate it. And I was talking to somebody one day and I was like, obviously, we need things for a reason. I overcomplicated and I got taught in very complicated ways in many different modalities because that's what my path needed. I mean, period. Was it good? Was it bad? It wasn't. It is what it was.
Yep.
But now I tell people because somebody was like, how do you do this? And I go, you can do it this way, you can do it this way, you can do it this way. But honestly, if your intention is there and your thing is there, you are the magic enough.
Yeah.
And they looked at me like, oh, that's simple. And I go, I know. And then I thought about it. I'm like, 20, 30 something years. It finally took me to understand it really is that simple. It's not, it can be that. No, it is that simple. And that's why when you and I met, I was like, I love when you said that, that you bring the very much practicality into it and that you just infuse it with your life because it's
Yes.
so true. We don't have
Yes.
to go through the hurdles.
Yeah.
Do we need the healing, the trauma, the thing? Maybe, usually no. Maybe we just need to heal it and it's done.
Yes. Now the question is whether you can decide to do it. That's the challenge because actually we want it hard. If we have it hard, our brains have this lovely excuse that we don't actually have to do it. It's
Uh-huh.
like, actually, we can keep exactly how we are because that seems like a lot of work. Oh, I don't have the time right now. I'm a mom. I'll wait till they're older. I wait till they move out. And you're like, life becomes so much easier if you do it first. And
Mhm.
that's the thing that really always drives me because it's like, let's put these things in place first. You brush your teeth every day because you know you're going to take care of your teeth that way.
Mhm.
You know you're
Mhm.
going to feel better that way. So let's do that with spirituality. Make it your everyday connection. And you're right, like it's as simple as the intention. But we are taught that it's hard. We were taught, I mean, like I was taught that, it was for the saints, it was for the
Uh-huh.
holy ones, it was for the people who elevated to a certain state. And it's always, you know, my mom used to talk about it and I'd be like, this doesn't make any sense because what were all these teachers telling us for if we couldn't actually attain it? Doesn't
Mhm.
make any sense.
Mhm.
So it really is simple. It's actually knowing your worth and who you are and knowing how to plug into your spiritual source. You can see that however way you want. You can use whatever language you want for spirituality. Um, but there's always quick ways to plug into it.
Right.
So,
No, and I love that. So, and I know today we're talking about the four energetic worlds of self. So, can you help break us down what are these four different worlds and how can we plug them in that simply into our spiritual life?
yes, absolutely. It's so funny because I talk about, oh, let's make this really simple. And then I throw out a term like four energetic worlds. And
I
everyone
know.
goes, well, that sounds complicated. What are we talking about?
And yet, because it sounds complicated and because it sounds like it's something you don't know, people click on
That's
it
right.
and listen to it because we want to understand the
Exactly.
complicated. So it works out perfectly.
Exactly. That's exactly it,
Yeah.
right? It's like actually, let's make something simple a little bit more complicated because then you can realize how simple this actually is. For energetic world, like let's be honest, it's what we talk about all the time. It's your mind, your body, your heart, and your spirit, right? That's what we're looking at. And whatever world you dwell in, whatever you love to absorb. I mean, like I was studying the worlds of yourself and like when I was studying Kabbalah, but also
Mhm.
you can look at psychology and they're saying, well, actually, there's like four elements of your brain. Like you literally are like four characters in your head. Like
Or
it's
more.
like, or more,
Or more.
or more. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But
Right.
it's like they'll still come from four places, right?
Uh-huh.
Where, your brain has certain patterns that it's literally been programmed to keep is that computer. Your heart is observing and giving you nudges. And we now know that it is the strongest of your fields. Like it has such a strong flow and its messages are always going to that brain. The brain, like a different character, is always getting it wrong. It's like broken telephone. And then you have, your physical self, your nervous system. It gets triggered. It's your animalistic instincts. And then you have your spiritual flow, your soul, your higher version of yourself. So, what I found was that people were kind of going into spiritual tools and they're like, well, there's so many. What
Hmm.
podcast do I listen to? What exercise do I need? What is actually going to click me into alignment? So I broke it down of saying, well, okay, so you have your four energetic worlds. And we know they're energetic because you look at the chakras and those chakras are all divided up in different things that throw them out of balance,
Hmm.
So it's energy. Each world has its energetic space.
Hmm.
And so you start to observe yourself. If you're like, I need something, that's the question that gets you started. It's like, I need something. What do I need to find alignment? And then you can observe yourself through the worlds. So it's like, first off, always look at your physical energetic world. Am I triggered? How's my nervous system? Do I feel safe? The truth is that if your nervous system's triggered and you're in a fight or flight space in survival space, don't bother trying to do anything else. Your meditation practice will not feel good and it won't get you anywhere if you don't feel safe. If you're
Hmm.
not breathing deeply and allowing yourself to settle, you cannot manifest from a triggered nervous system.
Hmm.
You can't create magic from a triggered nervous system. It's not happening. And you can barely even find your spiritual source from a triggered nervous system because your brain's like, warning,
Morning.
warning.
Hmm.
I feel very triggered right now. So take care of that world first. Check in. And you can, if you go, actually, no, I'm feeling pretty safe right now. I'm feeling pretty grounded. I'm okay. Then move up to your emotional, energetic world, the one of your heart. You know, are you holding on to anything? Are you feeling anger around anything? Are you feeling sadness? Are you listening to your heart? Are you connecting to who you want to be? So connect within and really, hands on heart, ask your heart what she needs. I always tell people, put your hands on your heart and allow your heart to rise up to your hand rather than your hand on your heart.
Love
And
it.
you're going to actually feel a nudge from your heart that's like, yeah, I'm here.
I'm here. Right. I love that.
Yeah,
When you
it's
said
like,
that, I was
yeah,
like, that, yeah, it sounds, yeah, love
it's
that.
it's such a good feeling because I'm always like, we spend so much time not listening to our hearts or just using our brain to listen to our hearts, and you just feel your heart being like, "Oh, thank God, she figured it out."
Somebody's listening, like, hello. Right.
So you clear that space, you move up to your mind, your mental, energetic space. What are your thoughts? I've been
Mhm.
working a lot with Danielle Laporte's work, and she talks about your nourishing thoughts. What are you thinking right now? Are they supporting you or are they disempowering you?
Mhm.
And then you ask yourself, that very top, that crown chakra, open wide. It's like, am I connecting to my spiritual source and am I letting the magic in? And so by dividing up your four energetic worlds, you create a simple path of observing yourself. And it means that then you can use whatever tool you need within those worlds to shift you back into alignment.
Right. And I
Cut
and
down traffic.
yeah, no, and I love the way you break it down like that because it's simple to do. It's like a step-by-step process.
Yep.
And it takes away that heaviness of I feel bad, I don't know what's going on, and you just get overwhelmed and you're just dragging. And but by doing it this way, it's literally, okay, is it this? No. Is it this? No. Is it oh, I found it.
Yep.
So it's kind of like you're breaking it down again in such a simple format that then
Yep.
you can dig into the, okay, so what is it that I found here?
Yep.
Okay, let me take care of that.
Yep.
And usually, at least in my experience, once we kind of take care of, let's say, that, other things also fall away and merge and come in. And because it could be just one blockage. Like when I studied alternative medicine, he was talking about something different, but I always relate his example. He was like, imagine a straw or a water hose. If it's cranked somewhere, obviously the flow stops everywhere. But once you fix that crank, even if there's a little twist somewhere else, the same energy and the same power is going to go ahead and move it. And you didn't even
Beautiful.
know that further down. He's like, you don't have to know. You just have to find the one that's completely blocking the water flow. And that makes so much sense in so many different ways. And it's the same thing. It's
Yeah,
step by step simple and everything will work itself out, truthfully.
exactly. Exactly. Absolutely. And I mean, like drawing back on like what you mentioned about like, do you have to do the healing work? That's exactly how I love to do healing work. You know, you're working on the, well, let's work on the alignment now. Who are you now? And then all of a sudden I'll be working with a client and they go, oh yeah, but I can't feel that way because of. And it's like, well, we better clear that up. Like
Right.
it's like, let's go back, clear it up. Okay, now can we move back to the like present? It doesn't need to be the massive unpacking. You know, you
Hmm.
can use simple tools to like release those kinks in your hose. It's a beautiful analogy because that's exactly what it is. The well-being's always flowing to you.
Hmm.
It's us that aren't letting it in. So it's a shift. I mean, it's a fascinating thing to watch how we have these easy processes. And then it can lead into a thing of, well, when do you choose to do it? It's also
Yes.
okay to not. I was literally having this conversation with someone in my Facebook group today, and it's like, yeah, sometimes you actually won't decide to do it. That's also okay. It's a fine. Just be honest with yourself, compassionate with yourself. Yeah, I know I'm out of alignment somewhere. I know I should probably check in. I'm not ready to do that yet. I'm just going to stay out of alignment. That's fine.
Right. But you're aware of it.
Be
And
aware of it.
oh, and I was going to bring it up eventually, so I'm glad you brought it up because when you said it's a matter of observing yourself,
Mhm.
yeah, sometimes we observe ourselves and we know we just don't want to go there.
Yep.
And and
Yep.
and it's that being truthfully honest with yourself. If you don't want to go there, fine. You are aware that you don't want to go there. But it's the fact of observe yourself. Nobody knows you better than you.
Exactly.
And you know what you're repressing 99.9% of the time.
Exactly.
So
That is exactly it. And it's such a shift in 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 perspective because we can easily become the victim to our processing, right? It's like, oh, I wish I could. I can't. I don't know how to like line up to that. It becomes this disempowered journey.
mhm.
And it's so important to shift it to the, okay, actually, I don't feel like I can decide this right now. I don't think I can observe this right now. I don't want to observe this right now. And then deciding to decide, which
And that's the end of our call because that's literally, it's true because that's literally it. It's literally the, yeah, you need to decide what you're going to do. You need to decide if you want the help. You need to decide if you want to observe yourself. You want to decide if you want to make this easy or you just want to keep not making it easy for yourself.
yeah,
And I don't
yeah,
want to trigger anybody because I know there's people, and I've been there. I know there's moments that with all our knowledge, with all our things, with all these things, when we get into the dirt of it and everything feels like it's falling on us, these words sound so simple, it's annoying. And I know that
I
because
know.
I have been there. Right.
Yes.
It's like when you're pissed, when you're depressed, when life is on top of you, and you've quote unquote allowed it to get to that point. I know we can all use, but this happened and this happened, and you don't understand. They're all stories, and I get that. I've been there. I've done them. I've played the victim for really far too long, and I get that. And
Yeah.
somebody comes with an easy tool. I'm like, you know what? Take your tool and you know what to do with it. Like, stop. But the whole
Yeah.
point of it is let's not let ourselves get there. If you're there, then seek help. If you're there, talk to somebody that can help you unkink the kinks. I mean, it's a
Yes.
matter of deciding, do you want to face it? Do you want to do it? Do you want to observe yourself or not?
Well, and also to know, I think something that can help if people are feeling triggered by actually whether, by what we're talking about, because we may be making it sound too easy,
Right,
right? It's
right.
like, let's be honest here. Like, I work through these processes all the time. We're human beings.
Mhm,
We're all gathering up clutter that stops us being in alignment. The majority of our lives as humans is probably out of alignment far more than in alignment. I like will continue like it will be a frequent experience that I'm like, "Ooh, something feels funky. Where do I
uh-huh.
need to align?" It's not like you're not on a graded experience here. And if all of a sudden you are in a pit, I mean, honestly, we all have them. It's a cycle. You'll always, every single human will hit a point in their lives that's like, well, this is a death cycle of some kind.
Mhm,
I am really struggling in this, and this is dark, dark, dark.
mhm,
Everybody goes through that sometimes. There's
mhm.
nothing wrong with going through that. So show yourself some love and compassion and know that even if you're down a hole, there are ladders being offered down that hole that you can jump onto at any time.
I love that. I love that. I'm just gonna start quoting you. Like, I love all
Yeah.
those little expressions that you use. It's true. And well, when you said it, I completely visual, graphic person here. Completely saw that. I completely saw like somebody putting down the hole, a ladder down the hole, and it's like, yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's exactly what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Well,
Sorry.
and I mean that's an image that came up when I was a parent coach because too often for parents, they will go down the hole to help their kids. And you can't go
Mhm.
down the hole with someone either. You this is there's a razor's edge that I think we all live in a world now that we're all trying to find the delicate balance of that razor's edge where there's a lot of people struggling and suffering.
Mhm.
It doesn't help to go down the hole with anyone,
Mhm.
but rather how do you stand at the edge of the hole being like, okay, so here's a ladder, jump on, grab it quick,
Right.
or a rope, or instructions, or whatever way you can support someone holding space. You don't walk away from the hole, but you also don't go into it.
Love it.
So
Absolutely love it.
yeah, it's
Completely.
it can be easy, and it's important to know people can be easy, but we're not suggesting that it's easy to decide.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. No, I
yeah,
absolutely love that. Hun, I want people to follow you. We're gonna we're we're running out of time, and there's so many different ways that we can go about this, but I think we're gonna bring you on another time because I think there's so many little different things. And you know that I take notes. I was like taking massive notes of like little things because it's like the when you said the brushing your teeth.
hmm
My point in expanding this knowledge and meeting people with you and bringing you guys on the show is for all of us to literally start creating a world where this is as simple and as common as everybody brushes their teeth without hesitating twice. I
yep,
mean, spiritual tools don't have to be complicated. They don't have to be the massive ritual. You don't have to have any religion. You don't have to have anything. It's just being aware of your own spirit. We are spirit beings living a human experience, going through human crap because we do, but remembering every day to the point that it's like brushing your teeth or taking a shower. It's part of your hygiene. It's part of helping you live such a calm, beautiful life that it can be. And
yeah.
that's the world that I want to help create. So definitely, I love all those things. Where can people follow you? Where can they get in touch with you? Where can they get all these little sayings and nuggets that I'm like writing down and jotting, and I'm going to start quoting you? Where can we send them?
Yeah, by all means. And I have to say, like, even just with that, like what you're talking about, as a simple little way of seeing, again, a little image that you can actually see. I always see spirituality as like electricity in the walls. So what we're talking about is finding whatever way you can to plug in to the electricity that's accessible and always waiting for you. So whatever practices, that's what I specialize in. That's what you specialize in. It's how do you plug in? It can be as simple as plugging in your toaster, plug in
Right,
yourself. Okay.
right.
So yeah, I'm over at spirituallyawareliving.com. And you can find out all about my coaching, and I have a membership program. You can also take my quiz, which is all about your energetic alignment in your four worlds. So rather than doing the observation yourself, you can take a quiz and it will tell you where you need the alignment the most to help you shift. So that's over there as well. So
Okay, very cool.
spirituallyawareliving.com. Yeah.
Very cool. And as always, I'm going to put it down in the show notes because definitely I want people to do that. And it's getting out of our own head. And I love the fact I'm going to push them towards the quiz because sometimes we get in our own heads about what we're thinking, feeling, and observing, or maybe we don't. But if something else tells us, we kind of tend
Yeah.
to believe it a little bit more.
Yeah.
So thank
Yeah.
you so much, Christina, for your time, for your knowledge, for your simplicity, for absolutely all the tools that you're helping everybody with. It is a great pleasure to have you on the show, and I'm definitely bringing you back.
I would love that. It has been an absolute joy. Thank you so much for having me on.
Awesome. And thank you, everybody. We'll talk soon. Bye.
Bye.